أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة فلا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينصرون رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه ثم أما بعد. We're on ayah number 86 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah Azza wa Jalla in the previous ayah that we spoke about yesterday talks about believing in some part of the book and not in other parts of the book. There's one aspect of that I wanted to bring to your attention before we move on to the next ayah that I failed to do yesterday, and that is an alienated, disjointed application of Allah's deen. In other words, what happens in the life of a believer, certain different kinds of diseases can attack our practice of the deen. And one such disease is that you take care with great regard one aspect of the deen. Maybe it's salah, maybe it's the way you look, the way you dress. Right? You take care of it really, really well. And at the same time, you completely ignore some other aspect of the deen. And you start thinking in your head that because I'm doing this one thing really well, then I don't have to take care of other things. I'm a good Muslim because I already do this. So an example of that would be a person who's extremely, the sample I gave you of someone who really takes care of their salah, but when it comes to their obligations in regards to the home, of being a husband, a responsible father, of providing even a halal income, right, taking care of their role or taking care of their relationship with their parents, all of those things are in shambles, but at least I'm solid on my salat. This is not holding on to the deen. This is taking one part of the deen and ignoring other parts of the deen. And other people can do other things with this as well. There are people who, for instance, can make sure that, and the alienation can become so severe that they'll make sure that the food they're eating is like halal. Right? So they'll go to the restaurant and they'll verify where the meat was slaughtered, and they'll do background checks and find out the guy's social security number, even get a shoe size, everything, right? They'll make sure that their meat is coming from a legit source. But the paycheck and the money with which they're buying the meat can come from a haram source, that's okay. Right? So on the one hand, you're so peculiar, so particular about making sure that you're taking care of one aspect of the deen, and on the other side, you can completely ignore it. And then, similar situation, you have people that can be very, very particular about the practices of the deen, about taking care of certain ritual aspects of the deen, but when it comes to, for example, gatherings inside the home, or get-together, things like that, then you can throw all of the teachings of the deen out the window. A different person in the masjid, a completely different person at home. Different principles in the house of Allah, completely different principles elsewhere. This is أَفَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. You believe in some parts of the book and disbelieve in other parts of the book. Right? That's what we spoke about yesterday. Now Allah gets to the heart of the matter. Why would they do such a thing? Why would a person take one part of the religion so seriously and at the same time be oblivious to another part of the religion? It's all the same deen, it all comes from Allah Azza wa Jal. Well, the bottom line is this. This deen came so we can serve Allah. That's the summary of the deen is, you and I submit to Allah, we serve Allah. But for sometimes, what happens to people? They want the deen to serve them. Instead of the deen being a means to serve Allah, you want the deen to be a means to serve you. You want to feel good about yourself. You want to feel like you've accomplished something. It's not about Allah anymore, it's about you. So what does Allah say in the next ayah? أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ اشْتَرَوُا الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا بِالْآخِرَةِ. Those are the people that have purchased worldly life in exchange for the next life. They purchased. When you purchase something, who's it for? Yourself. The previous ayah is talking about even them giving, money, fidya, to free captives. That's a good thing to do. But when they only do that and not the other part, then Allah is saying this is essentially self-serving. You just want you to feel better in this dunya. This is purchasing the life of dunya. By the way, these words are used usually for kuffar. They took this world and they purchased the life of this world. They would rather have all the luxuries of life now. They would rather not have anything in the akhirah because they don't believe in the akhirah. But the amazing thing is, this ayah now is talking about people who claim to believe. They claim to believe, and now Allah is saying they've purchased the life of this world in exchange of the next, in exchange for the next. فَلَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمُ الْعَذَابِ. Then the torture, the punishment will not be lightened for them. Such a powerful statement of Allah Azza wa Jal. And this takhfif is a very subtle concept mentioned in the Qur'an. Here in the ayah Allah says, the punishment will not be made lighter on these people. May Allah not make us from them. At the same time, Allah, when He describes His deen and the obedience to His deen, you know what He says? In Surah An-Nisa, He says, يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ أَن يُخَفِّفَ عَنْكُمْ. Allah intends to lighten your burden for you. In other words, you and me obeying Allah's deen, one of the purpose of that is, Allah wants your life to be lighter, easier. The deen and its principles come, these religious principles that are there, the purpose of them is to make your life easy, not to make your life hard. That's the point of them. But now since you didn't want to make this life easy for yourself, you'd rather go into difficulty. If you'd rather do that, then not only do you get difficulty in this life, but also in the next life. فَلَا يُخَفَّفُ عَنْهُمُ الْعَذَابِ. And then He says, وَلَا هُمْ يُنصَرُونَ. And they are not going to be aided. They're not going to be helped. And that's the other, insight into the psyche of someone who has this hypocritical attitude. Why would people take one part of the deen and not the other part? Because they say this one part is enough for them to be saved. On the Day of Judgment, when they come before Allah and say, at least I obeyed this one thing, that should be enough for me to get help. Allah makes sure you and I know they're not going to be helped. وَلَا هُمْ يُنصَرُونَ. They are not the ones that are going to be helped.